Who took off work to be here? Damn. Damn. Jeez. I never thought that was gonna impact me so much. That sucks. Oh no. Oh no, this is gonna be good now.
It's finally here after weeks and weeks. And of course, we have a very special person behind the door to come out and perform today and talk to us for a little bit. We're Brian and Kenzie, by the way, in the morning. So thank you. And I am super honored to bring out for you, Tyler Joseph.
What's up?
Tyler,
what are you doing over there?
do you want me to come over your back and talk to you?
Sit here by myself?
I mean, I don't know.
That's fine. That's whatever. I can
Listen,
take it.
you by yourself is better than me up on stage with you, hovering over you.
All right.
I got to know with the show last night. Did you take some leave this morning or anything? How are you feeling?
Yeah, feeling okay. I'm getting older, but it's whatever. We've had to. Josh and I have always talked about that as we are inevitably getting older and not being able to do some of the stuff that we like to do live, we have to make sure that we just make sure our show gets funnier. We have to replace the physicality with just humor, which we haven't quite figured that out yet. But no, actually, fun fact, the first show of the tour in Denver, I did a big old jump off the piano. And I broke my fibula and tore my LCL in my knee. So I've been performing on that ever since.
And you lost your scholarship since then, right?
Yeah,
you missed your window?
No, I think that I didn't know that happened. So I played like 8 or 9 more shows where I would do the big jump and land, and I'd be like, "Why does this hurt? I'm not old. I promise." So we've had to amend a few things, but I think I'll be back up, running around and jumping more soon. So.
Well, now you're a father of 3,
yeah,
and one's pretty fresh baby boy, which I get because I have a fresh baby boy too. You have such an active show. Do you feel like it's more exhausting being at home with your kids or on stage at one of your shows?
That's a good question. It's a different muscle. I think that when I leave the house and go do something like this or go on tour, and there's definitely a part of me that's like, I get to go away for a second. But at the same time, I think that, I feel like my wife always, I don't know, she just doesn't get enough. I don't know. I need to give her credit because she's just in the trenches all the time, right? And for me, I think that the way I would describe having a family now, and doing what we do, traveling around and touring, when you get into the rhythm of touring, you're in a new city every day, and it's kind of the same type of routine. Obviously, showtime comes, and that's like the reason why you do it. But even still, you can get into a bit of a rut where you kind of ask yourself, like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? What is the reason for this? And you talk to a lot of touring, roadies or people that travel around for a living, and their family life is really the only thing that kind of anchors them to what they do. So I remember there being tours where, being a single guy and just, out there touring, it was like I didn't have an anchor back home. Of course I checked in with my parents and stuff, but something about having to, yes, it's the hardest thing I've ever done, balancing and juggling the family life with going out and playing music. But at the same time, it's kind of solved a lot of those kind of empty, gaps for me as I've been out here. So it's been worth it for sure. This next song is a song called Oldie Station off of our new record. And I think that the reason, most of these songs, actually, you know what? I wrote oldies on the uke. I did not write routines on the uke. Oldie Station was a song where I felt like our fans needed a bit of an update about how I was doing. And that's kind of the main message behind the song.
Well, we think you're family, even though if you don't think we're family with you, because you've done so much stuff with us, and we feel like you've grown up with Q101 and the band.
What's your name?
Brian. I'm your cousin Ed, man. Dude, come on. Well, you played, Q101's Twisted concert in 2013 on the side stage.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we have so much history here.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to always come back here because, I mean, Chicago, it's famously, well, at least in my circle, like my first ukulele that I ever had, I didn't have a name for it, and I was in Chicago, and I said that from stage, and they were like, name it Chicago. So I have a ukulele at home called Named Chicago. It's actually the only uke that I've ever named, so all the other ones are just like, whatever. But no, I think that, every time we come here, specifically with brother, you.
Cousin Ed.
Yeah, Cousin Ed. No, it feels like home for sure.
Yeah, it's been just amazing to watch you flourish from like that's in the bottom lounge.
Yeah.
Somebody in the crowd even mentioned to me that you may have done a show at the Penny Road Pub in Barrington, Illinois, which it's a total awesome dive bar up there. And I didn't know about that show. But are your memories of obviously just about 6 years ago, in 2019, it was Q101's Twisted, then the Takeover 3 years ago where you did Bottom Lounge, House of Blues, United Center. It's incredible, and I'm so fascinated. I'd like to be your intern to shadow you as your cousin.
Yeah.
To understand how you choreograph and talking about the physicality you were just mentioning. Like, how do you say, I'm going to do a front flip here in the middle of this moment? Is it all strategically planned out? Because a lot of bands don't do that.
Yeah, it's a good question. I will say that the front flip is a back flip, and the back flip is not me. But it is amazing how often after a show I'd be like, I love your back flip to me. Like, for some reason, the people always just give me credit for it, even though it's Josh absolutely doing it every single night. And every time I just go, thanks, was it all right? Did I land it? No, I think that, we were talking to some other bands about, one of the, if I were to run into another band, one of the first things I would ask them is how do you rehearse? What's your system? And a lot of times we get that they'll rent out a space for weeks on end and just be grinding through the set, trying to get it to be right. Because it's not just the musical stuff, but it's the transitions, the lighting, the this, the that, all the way down to, okay, so when I'm ready and I walk from the green room to under the stage, who is going to be there to greet me? Who is telling the venue when to turn the lights off? And who is then going to start the track that then brings in the show? All these little details, even from the very beginning of the show, there's a lot to coordinate. And what I've found talking to other bands is they get into a rehearsal space, and then that's when they try to figure it all out. And the way that Josh and I are different, so a lot of bands will rehearse for 3 or 4 weeks leading up to a big arena run. And even though our crew, God bless them, they were in there for, weeks at least on just tech rehearsal, it's called, just making sure all the gear's all right. But I take pride in the fact Josh and I we were in there for 2 days. Okay, we just need 2 days to lock this in. And the reason why we only need 2 days to rehearse for the show is because, one, we were prepared individually. We knew, what we had to do. We weren't getting up on stage in a rehearsal space learning the song. We were ready. And then, I think that one of the things that helped me prepare for a tour was taking time to sit and actually visualize what you're going to do. I know it sounds simple, but to really press pause on your life and put away distractions and sit and imagine the event actually happening. For me, that one, I don't have to rent a rehearsal space. I don't have to get the microphone in front of me. I can imagine how many steps do I need to go from the piano to the mic, and is that enough time in that part of the song for me to get to that part of the stage? And what is this going to feel like? And imagining that. And I think that, that's something that I've learned that I think that could apply to anyone's life. And I know that I'm going to I hope as a dad I can teach my kids that. But whatever you do, if you just took time to visualize it happening, trying to imagine the event happening in real time, when you get there and you do it, you're like, oh, I've done these steps. I've done this thing. And so Josh and I talk about that all the time, is being mentally prepared for the show more than anything. So I think that's a big reason why we're able to go out there and do it every night. This next song is called The Craving. How does it start? I play it every single night. I just can't think of it right now. What's the first lyric? Does anyone know the first line of The Craving? More? No. That's right. You're wrong. You're out. Get out.
Do you have a similar process for something like this? Like, you're on this huge tour right now. It's obviously going to be very different than a ukulele acoustic set. Do you have to visualize it?
Wait till you see all the fireworks.
Oh, can't wait. I was promised fire, so I hope so.
Can you imagine? Ring.
But do you have to visualize this, or is this just like second nature to you, or is it even more difficult because it's a totally different structure than what you're currently doing?
Well, what would make me look cooler, you think? Fire. What? Fire, but like is this...
Like no effort,
Whatever, no effort. No, this is I'll always say that, if I was invited to a thing and I had to sing like just one song, I would be losing my mind. It's so and I think that's where a lot of people try to imagine, like, oh, if I had to get up there and do that, that'd be so tough. And you're right. It is tough. There's something about a show where I know I've got 2 hours, and there's, I don't know, there's something calming about that it's a whole thing. And even though, wow, these people are staring at me right now, something about the long form of it is kind of reassuring and calming. And so I will always say that standing in front of 50 people and doing something is harder than 15,000. Absolutely. No question. So I'm peeing myself right now. So.
Do you want something to help with that?
No, I have people for that. Isn't that silly? How it's just like, okay, hold on, what's the first line? And, when we're playing a couple hours every night, some people ask me, like, do you still get nervous for, like, the big shows? We kind of talked about that earlier. But I will say the one thing, it's like, oh, no. Before I go on, is like, what's the beginning of the song? I don't know what it is. And then as soon as you go into it, you're just like, oh, I know this. I'm good. So, couple more for you. That's cool. Yeah. This next song is called Next Semester. I actually did write it on the uke, but as soon as I wrote it on the uke, I moved it over to like more of a full band style song, and so I haven't played it on the uke since I wrote it. So I'm looking forward to this because I don't know. There's something special about anytime I talk to a younger band or younger artists, having the ability to, even if it's just crudely, record yourself is so valuable, because when you first come up with the idea, being able to record the moment that you came up with an idea, or at least the day that you came up with it, that's why I look so fondly back on so many songs that we've put out, especially the album Vessel. All those vocals were written and recorded at the same time. And then, later we put drums on it and all that stuff. But that's like the urgency and the kind of like a slightly, cringy vocal delivery of the entire record, is something I've learned to love about who I was and where I've come from, because it was such a timestamp in my life. And I think that anything that you guys do or create specifically, it's really easy to like just kind of dig on your old stuff and be like, that sucked, or I would change this now, or I would do this differently now. And That's very true for a musician who is always kind of trying to grow and learn and get better at their craft, and probably applies to a lot of the things that you guys do in this room. But there's something special about it being a timestamp of that was you at that moment, and you kind of take pride in that a little bit. So I'm going to go back in time a little bit and play the song Next Semester when I first wrote it, which was on the ukulele on a back porch.
And, the process of the Clancy tour, I tell me I'm wrong or right on this one. I picture you as George Lucas, okay, with this 10-year story of Clancy and Trench and Blurry Face. And I picture you coming up with this 10 years ago, 12 years ago, whichever part it happened in, and you had this story that you knew was magnificent. And then, before you knew it, you were one of the biggest bands in the world, and the story has to continue. Is there an end to this story that's coming, or is it... did you have it planned all the way through? Like, or are you now going like George Lucas? Hey, I got to make some more movies now.
Wait, George Lucas is he's like the fat gray-haired guy.
Yes, the first Star Wars guy.
That's
yes.
who I am.
No, I mean not looking.
My knee's not that bad.
You sounded like pretty bad when you said that earlier.
Sorry, George. He's an avid fan. You asked 3 different questions. I guess I'll pick one. There is an end to the story, and I actually was just kind of carving out what that's going to look like the other day. Obviously, I've had the ideas and the concept and the story written for a long time, but then you have to, how do I get this visually to make sense? I've always written from an internal perspective, what's going on inside here. I've always felt like that was kind of for me at least, the only reason to write a song. Obviously, I think there are a lot of people that write songs for other reasons, but I think that the songs that kind of mean the most are the ones that come from an internal perspective. The person who's singing it also kind of wrote it and is also playing it. And I know for me, that's the type of music that I like to listen to. I want to know, this is coming from one source, right? I think that today, especially, we're a little on edge about that. Who helped you create this is always a question I have for other artists, which I guess is a little unfair because collaboration is valid. But at the same time, when the lyric is talking about something so important and so personal, I don't think it makes sense for someone to get in there and rummage around and help you say that thing. I think that needs to come out from the source. And so I know for me, instead of reaching out to collaborators as a source of inspiration, I knew that I wanted to create a story that I could parallel my own life to, that I could go to and write from. Really, it's just to give me more things to write about. And there's areas of my life that, in the same way that writing a song has helped me understand things about myself, and how music, I'm sure, has helped you understand certain, seasons of your life. I realized that, creating the story and being artistic through storytelling and character building was also another way for me to make sense of what I was going through. And so I think that's the main inspiration for why the story exists. I do think that it needs to end because I think that it would be silly if it didn't. I think what happens after it ends, I don't know. Thank you guys. Hopefully you had a good time. Hopefully it was worth it. I'd love to. Are we doing pictures? Are we gonna take pictures, everyone? Yeah, get to meet everyone.
One more time. I just want to say one thing, that I'm really glad we're all on Earth the same time you are.
Oh man, thank you.